Alright guys, Anti-Perfect Nerd back again, and like I said in the last video, I'm not going to repeat it because it wouldn't make any sense. Why would I even say that again? But that's besides the point. Alright, so... Oh wait, no, I should say that, if you didn't check out my reaction to the pseudo-legendary Pokemon Cypher, like all YouTubers, I must say, go check that out. That's one I made right before this, and this is probably the last videos I'm gonna make before in my room, going out. Gotta get caught up, but actually not because I got school starting soon in like 4 days. No, actually next week. But I'm moving into my dorm room Monday, and today is whatever day it is. And okay, just know that's 3 days away. That's all you need to know. Besides that, I'm gonna probably be recording in there, or try and find a way to record in there, one way or another. I'll work it out. I get some time. That's for later. That's for future me to realize to do. Anthro nerd, yeah, whatever. With that being said, we're going to be watching all 4 Five Nights at Security Breach game theories that I have not been paying attention to lately. Well, it's not because I didn't want to, or because I had other things to do. It's just I got distracted. Which is it's quite easy for me to do, I'm not gonna lie. So with that being said, let's start off with game theory. FNAF. Is Golden Freddy really in Security Breach? I would not know. I didn't try very hard to find him. I was trying more hard to actually beat the game because I am pretty terrible when it comes to video games. Yeah, that's basically it. So with that, 413K. I don't know if anybody's really gonna watch this video. Who cares? On the channel. Good for you. 3, 2, 1.
Thanks for coming in, Freddy. I heard you got some new eyes recently. Just want to check to make sure that they're all functioning before we send you back out there on the stage. Tell me, what do you see here?
That is my friend
Rockstar Bonnie.
I miss him.
Explain yourself.
Don't we all? How about this one?
It's me?
Interesting response with heavy
Funny.
lore implications. Gonna make a note of that one. All right. How about this last one?
Oh, that's
DJ Music
that's the
Man.
DJ, you know. DJ.
Say it.
No, hold on, don't help me. I have this. DJ.
Come on, Freddy. It's
No.
obviously Music Man.
Shit.
Music Man. Oh.
Ah.
Music Man. Music
I called it. Good on you, Matt. I love the remix. Pull it up a notch. Ruining your childhood since 2011.
Hello, Internet. Welcome to Game Theory, where the only thing that slaps harder than our remixes
Already done.
is you slapping that subscribe button. A huge thank you to Doofix from the Game Theory subreddit for helping that meme achieve its true final form, and for letting me use it as a part of this video. As I write this, his masterpiece only has 400 views, so let's blow that channel up. Link is in the top line of the description. You know what to say. Fill up those comments. Let me hear ya. Music Man! As the man said in the song, let's go! Say what you will about Security Breach, and there's certainly a lot you can say about Security Breach. The fact that it launched this weird, unseen animatronic from Pizzeria Simulator into meme lord status is perhaps its greatest accomplishment. And speaking of other unseen animatronics, today's episode is actually a pair of mini-series all about 2 animatronics that are notably absent from this newest game. Characters that have been with us since the very beginning of the franchise, but whose
Bonnie and Golden Freddy
weren't big enough for the final cuts. And in a game that throws so much Freddy spaghetti against a lore wall to see what sticks, what gets excluded from the game is almost as interesting as what made the final cut. So what are the mysteries surrounding these 2 animatronics? Can we solve the mysteries? And what do the solutions tell us about the lore of this new game? That, my loyal theorists, is what we aim to answer today.
Bonnie.
Missing animatronic number 1, Glamrock Bonnie. We all thought it was strange when the trailers first dropped and we saw our favorite animatronics in their new 80s getup. Freddy, Chica, Foxy, kind of.
If you play the game, then you realize that
Montgomery Gator was in.
If you play through the game a little bit more, you realize he's gonna go through this. You realize Bonnie originated. He was there. Foxy wasn't there though. Never even mentioned fucking Foxy. But Bonnie was there. There was a Rockstar Bonnie. But then, due to something happening, it got, like, out. And they changed it with Monty. Or Monty had his own place already, and they just had him run Bonnie's position. And as like an improvised Bonnie or whatever. I don't know. Maybe.
This was just gonna be a repeat of Sister Location. Introduce some new characters, reintroduce some old ones with new looks, and, you know, just leave a couple
But
out.
Scott
then,
was
right
like,
outside of the daycare of security breach, we hear this.
There is no rabbit at the Mega Pizza Plex. Not anymore.
And that right there, my friends, is theory bait. Stick it on a fish hook and drop it in the water to reel me in. Clearly, this was more than just an arbitrary swapping of characters. There's a story here, a mystery to solve. Glamrock Bonnie did exist at some point here in Pizzaplex, now doesn't. And the game continues to remind us of this mystery as we explore them all. While trying to decommission Chica, you have to venture into Bonnie Bowl. And while we're up there, Freddy says this.
I do not come up here and
I never went to Bonnie Bowl.
We even get a collectible message from Roxy Raceway that talks about him. Quote, management report, the bowling alley needs a re-theme. While most of the Bonnie art was removed, kids keep asking, where's Bonnie? Do we have an officially approved response? So yeah, where is Bonnie? The kids
Shut up,
wanna
children.
know, and heck, I want to know what happened
Don't ask
to
those
everyone's
questions.
favorite rabbit. Well, to answer that, we actually have to follow the other messages that we get in the Faz Watch. Specifically, this security alert found behind a locked Monty gate in the game's opening service tunnel. Quote, security report 12:24 a.m. Bonnie is seen leaving his green room in Rockstar Row heading east towards the atrium. 2:40 a.m. Bonnie enters the East Arcade. 4:12 a.m. Bonnie enters Monty Golf. Bonnie is wandering around the Pizzaplex and winds up in Monty Gator Golf. And see, this is an important detail because as we see in both the game and the collectible messages, Monty has a bit of a mean streak going on. He likes breaking things. He also has a bit of an ego. I don't know if you noticed, but the animatronics in this game are unusually human compared to the ones that we've seen previously.
Roxy.
They have personality, emotions.
Roxy and the Dark Triad. You all know what I'm talking about.
Escaper.
We should have found him by now. It's not fair. I'm not a loser.
Chica is just hungry all the time, and Monty wants to be the star. He's looking for a way to rise to the role of leader of the band, singer in the spotlight. We know this thanks to hole number 9 of the Gator Golf minigame. Monty is center stage, and Freddy is left out in the dumpster. So when bass player Bonnie comes rolling into his domain late at night, Monty sees this as his opportunity to take him out and become the bass player himself. This is all fairly straightforward just from reading those messages. But it does leave me wondering why. Why did Bonnie go to Monty Golf in the first place? Well, what if someone put Bonnie there so he would get destroyed? Monty would get what he wants, a more prominent role in the band, and Bonnie would be quietly decommissioned and turned to scrap. Scrap that could then be used to help rebuild another rabbit that we're all familiar with. One that's hiding out in the basement. Good old Burn Trap Afton. You want to know where Glamrock Bonnie is? Right there, right in front of your face.
It kind of does look, because he has like the eyebrows things going
I'm not
up.
just saying that because they're both rabbits. There's actually a couple more clues that pointed me in this direction. If we turn back to when we last saw Afton in the form of Scrap Trap during Pizzeria Simulator and Ultimate Custom Night, there were some interesting design details. Namely the fact that we can see a lot of bone underneath the suit. A lot of bone. On top of his skull, his jaw, around the eyes here, even the collarbone you can make out in his jump scare. But here in Security Breach, Afton has basically got a whole new body. As Scrap Trap, he was made primarily of bone and muscle, but now he's almost entirely animatronic, with the exception of the weird fleshy tendons that entangle the endoskeleton, as well as the skull, which now appears to be melted into the rabbit face. But we see loads of endoskeletons throughout Security Breach. We even hear Vanessa saying that they could just put old casings onto new endos if they need to.
Monty will run the shows until parts and service can slap your casing on a new endo.
So why then am I so sure that Burn Trap uses Bonnie's endo when they could have used any other endoskeleton? It all comes down to the hands. They make a big point in the trailers to reveal this
it never really
hand with claws at the end of its finger.
Because that doesn't look a lot like Glamrock Bonnie. I'm just saying. Oh wait, yeah, okay, it does. Okay. Well, it was weird. Like, it's weird, like remembering certain things, but then also like those certain things don't line up, and you think you see something this way, but it's really not. Maybe I was wrong.
Afton's ending when his hand reaches outside the recharge station. On both occasions, the focus is on Afton's left hand, a hand that was completely missing from Scrap
Oh, I didn't know
Trap in
that.
both FNAF 6 and Ultimate Custom Night. I mean, technically he was missing that entire left arm.
I didn't
but,
even know that.
You get the point. So, what does any of this have to do with Bonnie? That could be any endoskeleton arm, right? Wrong. Take a look at the Glamrock endoskeletons from this game. Their hands? Yep, they don't have claws. The only animatronic whose endoskeleton
They also
does
look
have
like they only
claws,
have 4
Montgomery
fingers.
Gator. We actually get a really good look at his hands once we've decommissioned him. But hold on a minute, I was saying that Burn Trap was made from Bonnie, so why am I so focused on Monty?
Monty has
well,
4
we have to go back to the
fingers.
messages that we get on our
And Bonnie has 5. And Scrap Trap, Burn Trap has 5 too.
Fazwatch. Down in parts and services, we get this maintenance log. Quote, Montgomery's claw upgrades allow him to play the bass. Following performances, he mostly uses them to cause damage. Before I read this message, Monty having claws didn't really strike me as an odd design detail. I mean, the dude's an alligator. Kinda makes sense. But this message made me reevaluate that opinion. Claws are only for animatronics that play the bass.
That is
When we
true.
get the message about Bonnie being out of commission, we get this line. Quote, with Bonnie out of commission, we are making Monty the new bass player. Parts and service have already done the proper adjustments. End quote. They're installing the claws on Monty because he's becoming the bass player, which means that Bonnie before him must have also had claws. They need to be built into the endoskeleton because they have to pluck the heavier strings. Therefore, the claws on Afton's new body prove that they could have only come from a single source, Glamrock Bonnie. But
Also, the
Glamrock
fingers.
Bonnie is the only one conspicuously missing from the security breach lineup. Where is everyone's favorite yellow clickbait, Golden Freddy?
I wonder.
At first, I didn't think too much about his absence. Last we
Oh,
saw
yeah.
old yellow Fredbear, he was twitching away at the end of Ultimate
He's
Custom
out of it.
Night, keeping the spirit of
For
Afton
a
trapped
second.
in an endless purgatory of torment. Meanwhile, you got Old Man
Fuck that Old Man Consequences.
Cassidy, you good, bro? And
I'm in the
encouraging them
middle of
to
something.
leave the demon to his demons. So, yep, that story seemed largely done. Cassidy, aka the one you should not have killed, aka the vengeful spirit.
I like the one you
call it
should not have
whatever you
killed.
want.
That
This
sounds
was
better.
Another playing piece off the lore table. The end of another character arc. So why would Cassidy appear in Security Breach? Doesn't seem necessary. But then it was more Freddy Spaghetti time. Security Breach once again threw everything it had at the wall to see what stuck. And I do mean everything they had. Basically everyone and everything in the series up to this point is represented somewhere in this game. FNAF 1 animatronics, FNAF 2 animatronics, tons of references to FNAF 4, a direct connection back to FNAF 6, there's Baby, there's the puppet, there's the fun times. If my theories up to this point have been correct too, you also get Crying Child, Michael, and Elizabeth, the Aftons all in one neat little package. And that's still not all.
Books.
The arcade cabinets reference everything from
Yeah,
the
the
original
Fazbear
novel
Frights.
trilogy to the Fazbear Fright stories. Heck, in this one game, you get not only one, but two, count them, two versions of William Afton, Glitch Trap and Burn Trap. You have all the versions of pretty much all the important characters throughout the franchise. So in a title that seemingly references every other important corner of FNAF lore, where's our golden boy Freddy? Well, he's there. He's hiding in plain sight, right here, inside the Princess Quest arcade games. The princess is quite literally Golden Freddy. Or, to be entirely accurate, it's actually the spirit of Cassidy inside
Actually,
the
that does
arcade
make
game.
more
I
sense.
know, it
Because you
seems
think
crazy, right?
in the real world, the princess would be Okay, that makes slightly more sense because it's a fuck, what's it called? When something is is it a metaphor? Is the arcade with the princess and Glitch Trap, is that a metaphor for what's actually going on with Vanny? But they're not necessarily, it's supposed to symbolize, that's what it is. Princess symbolizes Vanny, but that doesn't mean that Vanny is the princess. The princess is Golden Freddy, that makes more sense. I just realized that I also didn't react to a new song that Scranton Music Official made. I don't know why I just thought of that. Five Nights at Freddy's, whatever.
right? And while I could
That
try
popped
to
in my
bury the
head.
lead here
Sorry.
and string this whole thing out, I'm not. There's just too much to talk about. We know that this is Golden Freddy because it's coming straight out of the horse's mouth. I guess it's the sheep's mouth because it's Steel Wool Studios. Anyway, if you dive into the game files, there's a character sprite folder labeled Cassidy. Open it up and what do you find? The princess. Now, I gotta be honest,
Whoa.
that alone didn't convince me. Sure, it is a huge deal, and obviously the golden color of the princess is a direct connection back to everyone's favorite yellow bear, but this is also a series that's used the name Jeremy in like, what, at least 4 separate places? Is that right? 4? He's a missing children's incident kid. He sliced his face off in FNAF VR with a paper cutter. He's a security guard from the FNAF 2 paychecks, and oh yeah, he's
Jeremy just never dies.
Frights book. So yep, those
He's
are the
always
4 instances
around.
that I can just
Mr.
remember off the top of my
Jeremy.
head. So forgive me if I'm in need of a bit more proof here before I call this one confirmed. So I kept digging. First, it's worth noting that in a previous theory, I suspected that the princess was actually meant to
In
be
a
stand-in
way.
for Vanessa. You see, Security Breach isn't the first time that we've actually
They
seen
symbolize
Princess
each
Quest
other,
minigame.
or
It
whatever the
originated
word
as
is.
part
Put
of the
down the
mobile port
comments.
for FNAF VR when they needed some way of telling Vanessa's story. Instead of finding 16 glitching cassette tapes like you did in the original FNAF VR, the mobile port has you playing Princess Quest 1, lighting 16 braziers to eventually find the lair of Glitch Trap. Interestingly though, digging through that game's files reveals that the princess character wasn't labeled as Cassidy. This is a new thing for Security Breach, which tells me that this was also an important story element for them. A story that, now that we have all 3 Princess Quest games to look at, suddenly takes on a different meaning. When you play Princess Quest 1, you're being hunted down by black glitchy rabbit creatures. These things are clearly working for Glitch Trap, but if that's the case, why would he be sending them to attack you? If the princess is truly meant to be a stand-in for Vanessa finding the tapes, wouldn't he want Vanessa to find them so she comes under his control? Rabbits attacking doesn't make sense. However, if we consider the Golden Princess to instead be Cassidy, back from the dead once more to try and stop William for good, then of course Billy Afton would do everything he can to stop the princess. I also think that each Princess Quest represents a different phase of Cassidy's experience quite nicely. In the first one, Cassidy is helpless, an innocent, helpless child lured to a back room and killed by a monster that looms in the shadows. But by Princess Quest 3, the princess is fighting back. And not just fighting back, but doing it in the same location that we walked through in FNAF VR. Notice the large central stage, the prize corner back behind us, and a rounded side stage to the left. Now, this is an important detail because as we see at the end of FNAF VR, we're playing in the location of the missing children's incident. Glitch Trap lures us to the back room only to shove our dead body into Freddy's suit while he dances around. This is Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria, where the initial 5 kids, including Cassidy, first went missing. Cassidy's story truly comes full circle. Playing through Princess Quest 3 the first time, I also thought it was unusual to have a giant Chica face looming in the background watching us. Like, why? Seriously, why? You don't just do that for decoration. And then I remembered this line from Ultimate Custom Night. I was the first. I have seen everything.
Susie.
This means that Susie, the spirit inside of Chica, saw the deaths of everyone else, meaning that she was probably watching as Cassidy was killed. Hence why she, of all the characters, would be the one watching us in this moment. So the file name matches, the color matches, the narrative arc makes sense as we revisit important locations from Cassidy's past, but that's not all. Elsewhere in the files, there's another piece of glitch text, similar to the text that we originally saw when you approach Glitch Trap in Princess Quest 1, but this time it's much shorter. It'd be hard to decipher if we hadn't just text before, but we did. And using that code, we're able to translate these dots as "it's me," the iconic phrase that we've seen every time Golden Freddy has been present throughout the series. Last but not least, Cassidy being here just makes sense with the story. Whenever there's William, Cassidy is close.
The vengeful spirit does not give up.
Part of vengeful spirit. This is something that we actually see in the Fazbear Frights books, specifically the story The Man in Room 1280. In this story, we get a ruined, burned William Afton dying on a bed.
I'm so mad.
An angry spirit named Andrew with curly black hair wearing an alligator mask. This very clearly is meant to be the book stand-in for Cassidy. In a previous story, Andrew outright says, quote, "I do remember wanting to get back at someone who hurt me. I think I attached myself to him. I got into his soul, made sure he couldn't move on when he should have died. I remember I wanted him to suffer the way he made me suffer." Basically, the two are inseparable. Andrew grafted himself itself on
Can't have
Afton,
one without
and
the
now
other.
Their souls are mixed. So consider this: Glitch Trap was created when a bunch of circuit boards were scanned into a system to create a video game.
They would
sent
also
us that
scan
stuff
in
the first place
Cassidy
with no explanation.
along with
it
him.
was just junk. Circuit boards and things like that. Somehow, though, there was usable code on some of it.
If Cassidy was truly attached to Afton, then Cassidy's spirit would also likely be in those circuit boards, thereby creating a digital version of her, aka the princess. So yeah, I feel pretty darn confident that that is indeed Cassidy in Princess Quest. Everything I could find backs it up from a design, timeline, narrative sense. Also, the file name suggests that the king is actually Old Man Consequences. Sure, I guess. Leave the demon to his demons. Unless, of course, you want to take my sword and go ham on him. Anyway, so what does it all mean? Why
I've changed
is this
my
important
mind.
at all? Well, it gives us a rationale for why playing some random arcade games somehow manages to free Vanessa from Glitch Trap's control. As a reminder, if you play all
You get
three
the good
Princess Quest
ending,
games, you get the free Vanny
technically.
ending, where she turns good and joins you eating symbolic ice cream cones. But really, it's a pretty weird logical leap that playing a few random arcade games somehow gets this young woman free of the virus that's infected her brain. But now, it makes a bit more sense. At the end of Princess Quest 3, we confront
The
a
door
large security door
from-
that's covered in purple goo, only to get a blood.
Oh, it was the door
scream.
from...
That
Yeah.
goo tells us that it's Glitch Trap behind
It
the
looks
door.
like-
It even has a glowing
it-
set of eyes on the left-hand
I
side.
mean, it looks
which,
like the
if you
door
squint,
from,
kinda looks like a rabbit head.
VR simulator. Like, we all remember the one he locks you in. Yeah, bruh.
This kind of goo wasn't present in
that
the
one?
identical door within Help Wanted, implying that he is now in control. So when Cassidy unlocks the door and goes in, the digital scream that we hear from the other side is Glitch Trap dying, crying out as Cassidy delivers the killing blow and maybe, hopefully, finally putting both of their souls to rest.
Wishful
Security Breach to me
thinking.
has been the story about endings. Throughout all of my Security Breach theories thus far, we focused heavily on the idea of characters coming full circle, giving closure to them and
True,
ending
but
their
still
parts
wishful
within the
thinking.
FNAF storyline. The crying child and the missing children got their closure back in FNAF 3's Happiest Day. Henry and the puppet got their closure in the FNAF 6 ending. If I'm right about my theories, then the rebuilt Afton kids get their closure on the hillside eating ice cream here in Security Breach. And now Cassidy. While all the other dead kids of the series have been able to move on, Cassidy has always remained, always trying to chase Afton down, torturing him in purgatory for what he's done, so driven by anger and revenge that she couldn't let go. So this feels like a great ending to this chapter of the series. Finally, Cassidy gets to join the others and rest, putting aside their agony and putting an end to the Golden Freddy arc, and hopefully to Afton's arc as well. But there's still one more that's incomplete. One more series of secrets in this game that we haven't talked about yet. Tune in next FNAF episode as we wrap up our coverage for Security Breach by talking about the most controversial and frustrating part of it, the retro CDs, the mysterious Patient 46, and what all of that has to do with the theories that we've covered so far. So bite of 87 that subscribe button to ensure that you don't miss it. And as always, remember, it's just a theory. A game theory. Thanks for watching. So remember, February 19th, Saturday, for our final Security Breach theory.
Yeah, that
and then make
finals,
sure you
that's
stick around
wishful
after the
thinking.
episode for a live
Besides the point, let me think. Okay,
theorist
so,
talk.
like I said, that's wishful thinking. But still, that does make a lot of sense.
The fruit cart leads all to their destiny.
Xbox is now at Verizon. Get an Xbox and
Jeez.
hundreds of games with Xbox All Access. On the network built for gamers.
At Navy Federal Credit Union, we were founded as a not-for-profit with a mission dedicated to your financial well-being. Because when you're a member, it all starts and ends with you. Navy Federal Credit Union, our members.
All
our
right
mission.
then. Okay, so yeah, that's totally believable. I definitely believe. I can see that how Golden Freddy and Bonnie were both there the entire time. Especially that Golden Freddy was there in the arcade machine, and that she, fuck, my bad. God, sorry about that. But that Golden Freddy herself, that Cassidy was the princess all along. It's a good thought. It's a very good theory. Insanely accurate. Now, the clue that almost solves everything, going with the CDs and what they mean. The only thing that is questioning me is the fact that, like, do we know that this is really the end? it's unlikely, honestly, that this is it. However, as people say, Five Nights at Freddy's is the thing that never dies. Like, remember Afton, all what he says, I always come back? I mean, that'd be surprising if if he was like, this time I'm not gonna come back, as if. Always does. Can't kill him. Too many clones. But to that point, let's just go into this one and see. Let's see. 3, 2, 1, play.
Today, we end the horror. Today, we solve FNAF.
You said this thing like 80 times, actually. Fear theory.
Internet, welcome to Game Theory, the show that reminds you that if you click the like button hard enough, it'll summon DJ Music Man to your neighborhood for a block party. Go ahead, try it. Hit that like button. Didn't work? Have you tried clicking subscribe? I hear that sometimes works too.
I don't want him in my neighborhood.
I don't know what to tell you. Speaking of not working hard enough, aren't you tired of just plain boring merch? The kind that you buy and sure, it looks cool, but it just sits there on your body not doing anything interesting. Well, what if your merch was actually a puzzle? Introducing the world's first quest jacket. I know what you're thinking. A denim jacket isn't anything revolutionary, and you'd largely be right, except you'd also be missing one of the most crucial details. Those patches, they're not just any old D&D style patches, they're clues to help you solve a much bigger puzzle that exists inside of this thing. It's not just a jacket, it's the world's first ARG jacket. You heard that right, a world first. It's not every day that you create like the first of something, but to all my research, I don't think a product like this has ever existed. We've
How does this
been working
work?
for the past 2 years to make something like this happen. Working with garment manufacturers to sew secrets into places that they've never even thought about before. Obviously, I don't want to give too much away because part of the fun is letting you guys solve this for yourself, but we pulled out all the stops to give you a piece of clothing that you can actually experience. This thing is premium to the max, and if you manage to solve it, you get a special final patch to show that you are truly the puzzle master. So go ahead, head on down to the
but also
description
really
and be a
cool.
part of history. Grab yourself the first ever piece of ARG clothing and what will be the first in our series of quest jackets. Roll an investigation
Not
check
very
to see if
good.
you've got what it takes. Today we finish milking, I mean
milk
covering
it.
the major mysteries of security breach. And you know what? I think I
Try
solved
your
it. Or
best.
at least I think I've solved most of it. 7 years ago I made this video, The Clue That Solves Five Nights at Freddy's, where we put together all the pieces to support dream theory. The concept that the first 4 games of the series were all a collection of nightmares happening inside the mind of a child. In that episode, there were lots of points of evidence, but ultimately the conclusion hinged on one key design detail, the alarm that brought each night to a close at 6 o'clock a.m. A grandfather clock for 3 games and a digital clock for number 4. 3 games in the crying child's house where we see a grandfather clock, the 4th in a hospital right before he dies, which ironically enough is the one whose gameplay is happening in a recreation of the house. Oh, there's a reason this series is so difficult to talk about. Anyway, the reason I bring that video up is because today's theory works largely
Is it all
the same
a
way.
dream?
Over the past few FNAF episodes, I've been trying to make heads or tails of security breach.
Maybe.
Pulling at what, to me, felt like the strongest thread. Gregory as the crying child, reborn in a robot body. Him reuniting with his brother Michael in the form of Glamrock Freddy and his sister Elizabeth in the form of Vanessa. And we've covered a lot of evidence trying to support that claim. The character's design, colors, the ice cream, the voice lines, robotic eyes, the satisfying narrative arc that it provides the game's 3-star ending. I mean, it's a lot. There are 2 episodes that are jam-packed full of discussion around exactly this. But today, I finally have my smoking gun. The clue that takes it from just a controversial theory to,
I want to be blown out of my seat.
largely proven fact. Just like with the clocks and the dream theory, it's the one clue that is so specific, so intentional that it confirms that this was the main intent of the game. Until, of course, they decide to retcon it all due to bad audience feedback to keep the franchise going for another 7 years. Sorry, guys, I hate to say say it, but I think I'm unfortunately right this time. Gregory is a robot, and he's the crying child reborn. And by the end of today, I think you're gonna be convinced. And then from there, we're gonna talk about how all of that factors into the game's narrative and its final mystery, Patient 46.
Who is Patient 46?
It all begins here, the Post-it room.
Huh, what? This is unexpected.
After exploring the sewers to decommission Chica, Gregory winds up here, a room full of glowing staff bot heads and lots of post-it reminders on literally every surface. I mean, this thing is a flashing neon sign
everywhere.
that says important lore here. And yet, in online discussions, it's been largely overlooked because it's kind of sandwiched in the middle of the game, overshadowed by the animatronic
Right, and you might not even see it.
Even though I knew that something had to be hidden.
True lore experts will just destroy the entire thing.
Trying to figure it out was like finding a needle in a haystack.
So what is this? What are we looking at here?
I think it's pretty obvious.
Yeah? Is it obvious, Matt? What is it?
You get to a certain age.
Uh-huh.
And you gotta start
everywhere.
Post-it notes?
Yeah, you just leave them around.
Okay.
But also there's robot heads.
So with that incredible insight, I spent literal hours off camera trying to look at every single post-it note to make sure that I had the full picture. And the answer I got was, do not do that. Learn from my mistakes. It took me so long, only to discover that the game files had been dug up and the post-it textures were just there in 3 simple images. Thanks to JustXFont for uploading these to GitHub. Flush those hours of my life down the toilet. When you study these post-it textures, you actually realize that there are 3 phases to the post-it notes. One that's barely legible, another where the spelling and drawing improve slightly, and the final where they become nearly perfect. It looks like someone is trying to learn how to write and draw, slowly getting better over time. And it all begins here with a note written in binary. When you first enter the room, there's a cardboard box in the middle, which, if I were to guess, is Steel Wool trying to draw our attention to the most important post-it clues in what otherwise is a very crowded and busy looking room. On it, we get this binary string, which translates to why is I. That's it. The grammar
is I. I am following this 100%. I think
is intentionally bad because this is a computer coming into consciousness, asking the question, why am I alive? And doing it written in binary, the language of machines, computers, robots. Elsewhere in the room is more binary that translates to hide. Whatever this thing is, it's scared and it's confused. It hides until it can better understand what or who it's meant to be. The other illegible phase 1 notes here are random flashing thoughts, the sky, kids, love, random glimpses of memories coming into focus. The phrase, I can feel it, is this creature coming into consciousness. And this right here, you are something family, which looks like Afton family, but it's pretty unclear. In short, it appears to be a machine that started speaking in binary, but as more and more memories start to take hold, it begins to write in normal alphabetic characters. When you dive into the notes from phases 2 and 3, though, things start to get much clearer. It's mainly images and text revolving around birthday parties, happy place, birthday time, family, a pile of presents, some cake, let's get snack, fun, friends forever, pizza time. Nothing particularly earth-shattering for a series about pizza restaurants. But then there's one post-it in the phase 3 notes that really stands out. The one clue that truly brings together the last 2 months of research. This thing is the linchpin. It's our smoking gun, my friends. And it all boils down to a present alongside 3 simple words, all for me. The party was all for me.
It means absolutely nothing to me, but I almost went into shock due to how much goosebumps I am having right now. Like, my entire body just writhed in goosebumps, and I don't even know what those words mean. Like, what the fuck?
Does for me. You see, in the FNAF survival logbook, a seemingly innocuous workbook full of pizzeria-themed activities, you have 3 voices speaking through the pages. Michael Afton, writing his answers in red pen, the vengeful spirit Cassidy, using lightly faded text, and the crying child, altering the physical.
We made the books more affordable, but they are still 3 oversized volumes.
I know SCPs are awesome, and I'll check it out later, but I'm busy.
text of the book. One conversation that happens
Look out for
between Cassidy and
SCPs.
the crying child plays out like this. Cassidy says, "The party was for you," and the crying child responds, "It was for me. All for me." Suddenly, all the party imagery makes sense. The balloons, the cake, the kids. This is the bite victim, the crying child, coming into consciousness and remembering the birthday party that took his life. And using this context, suddenly everything in these notes takes on a whole new meaning. In the first phase of notes, we see a crudely drawn house with a set of arrows.
He's been living
towards what
in the
looks to be a strange
pizzeria.
set of doors. Maybe another building? Which admittedly doesn't make much sense unless this is the crying child, who, in FNAF 4, would walk down and to the right and then back up to go to Freddy's with his brother every single day. In the Phase 3 notes, we see this close-up of a bear, which would have been the last thing that the crying child saw before his head got chomped. Blue, yellow, green, and red, those are the flashing lights above the Fredbear stage as he gets bit. Or, you know, maybe it's the balloons on the nearby table for someone who can't tell the difference between blue and purple. Even things like hide and no hide relate to the crying child's behavior throughout FNAF 4. He hides under tables, and he is constantly made fun of for it throughout the game. We also see a lot of dialogue about running away, just like on the post-its. Digging deeper, we also start to see other
I wonder if
patterns
people who
emerging.
work
The
for
number
Scott Cawthon
7
are like
shows up
sworn to secrecy to not give away all this shit that they put in the game. Probably, honestly. That's almost definitely true.
repeatedly as both a set of tally marks as well as a set of 6 faces with a smaller 7th one off to the side. This ties us directly back to FNAF VR, where we had a glitching purple gravestone for Afton in the middle of 7 normal gravestones. 5 missing children, Charlie the puppet, and the smaller face watching on, the crying child. As he says in other notes, all my friends. There's also repeated use of the number 3. 3 faces, 3 kids, words repeated 3 times like home, 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 and fun, 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 3 slices of pizza, 3
ADHD?
presents, even just counting to the number 3. So what would that
Does he
mean?
have
Well, think about it. We've
OCD?
seen a lot of references to
3?
a house and family throughout these post-its. Seems to me like it's a reference to the 3 Afton kids, Michael, Elizabeth, and the crying child himself. And the thing that brings all of it together isn't a post-it note, but instead the table higher up in the room where we see the staff bots arranged like a family at dinner. A mother and a father alongside their 3 kids. 1 red-headed pigtailed girl, 1 boy, and a kid with his head bit off. And just to hammer it all home, in the middle of the table, the collectible is a poster for Fredbear's Family Diner, the place of the bite, the place where all of this began. It looks like the robot finally figured out who he was, and he started to recreate his family. The robot is the crying child, which by proxy then has to be Gregory. And if you need further proof of humanoid robots in the game, Illy Becky on Reddit caught this detail from Sister Location. Humanoid heads, ones that look very similar to Gregory's face. Oh, and a last thing, much to everyone's excitement, there's actually a new book series coming out later this year. A new season of Fazbear Frights called
Oh
Tales
yeah,
from the
yeah,
Pizza
I
Place,
saw that,
obviously
actually.
referencing the location and security breach. The cover of the first book in the new series, Robot Kid.
Tales
There
of
it
the
is. Which
Pizzaplex.
leads us then to the last puzzle of security breach, the retro CDs. For those of you who don't know, there are 16 CDs around the map that you can only find once you've upgraded Freddy's eyes. From there, you take the CDs to a hidden room designed to look exactly like Mike's room from Sister Location. These CDs seem to be recordings of the therapy sessions for 2 patients. Patient 71,
Clearly.
who we mentioned last time is clearly Vanessa, and patient 46,
Who
who
is
we
it?
never get to hear speak. And over the course of the various sessions, 46 and 71 are set up to be direct opposites of each other. Vanessa likes flowers, patient 46 does not.
Oh, you like those? The janitor on this floor has a garden and has been putting bouquets in the offices here for years. What's the problem? Oh, the flowers? I'll move them.
Vanessa likes blue skies and doesn't like dark basements. 46 prefers it dark.
I like the blue sky. I don't like dark basements.
Squid fuck.
Oh, right. Too bright.
For the dark skies. I even said it wrong in my recap.
Shades pulled, it feels like we're in a cubbyhole or a cave, yeah?
Vanessa doesn't like candy. 46 does.
Would you like a candy?
No, thank you. Those have 35 calories apiece.
Sure, you can have a candy.
Clearly, we're meant to see these characters as opposites, which is why
What?
so many people online consider that
Oh.
patient 46 might actually be Vanny,
Makes
Vanessa's
sense.
alter ego possessed by Glitch Trap, or even more extreme, Vanessa's evil twin sister, considering the fire ending shows us a dead Vanny on the ground and Vanessa looking
Yes,
down
that
from
one-
the burning building's roof.
That
But
one
let's
definitely freaked me the fuck out. In the confusion of what the hell that was.
talk about those two interpretations. First of all,
Yeah.
Vanessa and Vanny are the same person. They have to be. All the evidence
only-
leading up to
it
this
only
game
makes
in places
sense.
like FNAF Special Delivery have pointed to a woman named Vanessa A getting mind-hacked
Yeah,
by Afton
everyone
and
knows.
reluctantly following his orders. And in this game, we still have pieces of evidence. For instance, in the CDs, we learned that
Yeah.
Vanessa is buying fake fur to make the Vanny costume.
On your breaks, it looks like you were shopping for a costume. You purchased some fake fur
fursuit.
material. What are you gonna make?
If she's not the one wearing it, why would she be making
Yeah,
it? To me, the
yeah.
fire ending here is meant to be symbolic. We haven't
That's
beaten
what
Princess
I
Quest
thought
yet,
it was.
So Vanessa's spirit is still trapped inside that burning building, but her body has died. She is one person. But could the persona of Vanny actually be Patient 46? Again, the evidence just doesn't seem to add up to that. Throughout their sessions, we get multiple indications that the therapist is speaking to a child. The way they speak to Patient 46 here,
You don't want me to get in trouble, do you? I could be put in the corner for a timeout. Yeah, you think that's funny, huh?
and again here,
Tragedy always leads to a feeling of loss. It's a hole that feels funny, right?
the way they explain simple words,
And I'm surprised by your knowledge of computers. You're something of a phenom. Do you know what that word means? It means you have unusual skill, like a hacker.
That's
the way
very
they point out that
interesting.
46 doesn't fit into the chair.
That
Yeah.
chair doesn't really fit you, does it?
They even mention the fact that they specifically work with children.
You know, I work with people of all ages.
So the
from
therapist
little
is
kids
talking
the
to
very elderly.
children.
I understand that therapists would want to treat alters as they see themselves, but this just
So they're
doesn't
both
seem to fit.
young.
At no point do we get an indication that Vanny sees herself as a child. But now let's go back to what we assume we know about 46. They're a kid, they like the dark, they like candy, they're really good with computers. In fact, they're a bit robotic themselves, answering questions in cold, detached ways.
When I read your account of what happened, it came across as, well, more of an objective rather than a subjective
46
narrative.
Gregory? Interesting. I'm speechless, really, throughout most of this.
Sorry. You don't know what that means, do you?
Here again, we get another example of the therapist having to explain a relatively simple word. Now, look at our post-it room. It's a dark cave underground, outright labeled as "This is my home." On the central cardboard box is a drawing of candy. And a robot would be emotionally detached and would also be great at hacking. Heck, the therapist does tell patient 46 to write down their feelings.
I suggested you write down exactly what made you so sad and scared.
And if this room isn't an example of that, I don't know what is. Taking it one step further, if I'm right in saying that Gregory is indeed the robot that came into consciousness here, that's why he doesn't fit into the chair. He's a kid. That's also the reason Steel Wool couldn't let us hear 46's voice throughout these therapist tapes. It would give away the game. It would immediately take away the mystery of who 46 is since we hear Gregory talk so much. But why would Gregory, a robot kid hiding out in the Pizzaplex, actively be seeking out therapy? He's not in a school of any kind and he's not employed, so it wouldn't be mandated. What is going on here? Well, over the course of the 16 CDs, we listen as both patient 46 and Vanessa visit a total of 5 therapists, all of whom are implied to have been mangled to death by machinery. But the deaths here aren't arbitrary. If you track the tapes, each therapist ends up getting killed off immediately after they start asking Vanessa about encrypted messages that she's been receiving from a mysterious figure.
Your performance reviews are good, but a routine check of your online history has revealed that you've spent quite a bit of time with someone in an encrypted conversation. We have transcripts, and I've read them.
Dead the next
Don't
session.
ask questions you don't want the answer to. You're more likely to survive if you just don't.
Messages you're getting seem very manipulative in nature. You know who I'm talking about.
So people end up dead.
Why won't you open up about it? These files are full of details about your life.
Again, dead the next session. When the encrypted messages get brought up to 46, same thing.
When I saw some of your recent encrypted conversation logs, at first, I thought I was looking at more examples of you just talking with yourself. Then I realized it was different. When I study this, it sounds like there is someone else responding to you.
A third therapist bites the dust. The therapists cover all sorts of topics. Bad childhoods, work history. One therapist even confronts patient 46 with all the other dead therapists. Nothing. No response. It's only once the encrypted messages come up that they're suddenly marked for death. We also know that it's 46 doing the killing here. The dead therapists are a complete surprise to Vanessa.
Hi. Go ahead. Sit down.
I don't know you. What happened to
Oh, we'll get to know each other in no time.
But to 46, it's just business as usual.
Why did you lie? Why don't we come back to this another day? You're shaking your head as though that's not going to happen.
He's shaking his head because he knows that now she is also marked for death. To me, all of this screams of 46 keeping tabs on Vanessa. He's going to therapy not for himself, but rather to follow her actions, making sure that she's not saying anything that she shouldn't about these encrypted messages. And when the therapists do get too close to the truth, they're bumped off. We learn in one of the last CDs that patient 46 isn't being manipulated, but is instead the one doing the manipulation.
I don't think you're being manipulated here. I think you're the one doing the manipulating. No comment?
Damn.
Huh?
Didn't ask.
My name is Alice.
Don't care.
My story is true.
Putting 2 and 2 together would tell us that patient 46 is the one communicating with Vanessa. He's controlling her life for some reason. In fact, 46 appears to be the reason Vanessa is working at the Pizzaplex in the first place. One odd detail of the in-game messages is that Vanessa was not supposed to get the security job. In the message,
she was supposed to be fired.
Vanessa's lack of security experience gets the interviewer to not recommend her for the job, and yet she's hired anyway, despite, as it says in another message, no prior qualifications. In both messages, we're told that it's an internal reference coming from the top that got her the job. Someone has brought Vanessa here for a specific purpose. And who better than a hacker that's clearly established to be in the Pizzaplex's emails? Patient 46, Gregory. In short, it looks like Gregory is manipulating the situation, determined to get Vanessa to work at the Pizzaplex, following her to all her mandated therapy sessions, and ultimately killing off anyone that gets too close to the truth. I mean, after all, Gregory is not opposed to using a bit of violence to get what he wants.
We have to get these.
Yeah, I mean, that's true, but like...
He's also not opposed to lying about it.
This upgrade, it was Chica's. Please be honest. How did you get it?
When I was in the kitchen earlier, she fell into some sort of garbage smasher.
Is she okay?
Well, she's still functional.
Yeah, what the fuck?
Why is he going to all of this effort? Well, combine it with what we saw in the post-it room. There's a family reunion scene. Multiple post-its referring to family, the 3 siblings, their house. Remember what I said earlier? A robot has come into consciousness and is trying to reclaim what he lost, his family. He wants the family back together, and so he's doing everything in his power to make that happen. Using his hacking skills, he's managed to break into staff files.
He's also been living there for the
longest. About Vanessa. Maybe he even knows that his dad's consciousness is inside of her. He's also got his brother and Freddy and his dad in the basement. The family in this game is truly coming together again, reclaiming what Crying Child once lost. And that's it. That's the whole theory done. There are definitely no holes or flaws to anything I just said.
Push it up with the broom.
Than everything I just told you. All right, fine. There might be a few itty-bitty holes to all of this explanation. Namely, some of the info that we get from the last 2 CDs. If patient 46 is Gregory, then why is he glitching the system to make all the animatronics scarier? If he lured Vanessa to the Pizzaplex, then
that's the biggest thing, actually. Like, why, if he can hack and do all this shit, and like, why is there a game to begin with? Why does there have to be a game? Because couldn't he just program all the animatronics to like stay in their rooms, and he just wanders to Pizzaplex and goes and does what he needs to do himself? Like, why is all of this happening? It's very weird, very strange, very, very strange indeed.
Why would he be surprised to see Afton in the basement if he's trying to bring the family all together? There's also the mystery of the whole parent story. 46 is said to have good parents.
None of what you said in your file about your parents was true. The truth is, you had great parents, a great childhood. Why did you lie?
But how would records of good parenting exist for a robot who presumably had no parents? Or the crying child whose records presumably would say that he was dead? Or even if you don't believe those theories, if 46 is Gregory and Gregory's just a homeless kid, that
I'm not gonna lie,
this
is kind of a pretty big plot hole.
or any sort of home life. But the kicker, the one to me that makes this really difficult to explain, is this email that I had long forgotten about from FNAF AR. Strap in for this one, friends. Hey Ness, I hope things are good. I saw you ordered 3 lifelike human male rubber masks, and I was dying to ask what they're for. Sounds to me like a robot kid is confirmed, but it also sounds to me like Vanessa built it or gave rise to this robot kid. If so, then I ask again, why would Gregory be avoiding her throughout the game? I mean, the best I could come up with is that somehow Gregory escaped and is now convinced that Vanessa is trying to shut him down because of his rogue programming. I mean, it's not a bad idea, but then why would he be luring her to the pizza place?
Yeah, every time you try and find one thing, it never, it doesn't fit.
They end up contradicting each other, which is really frustrating. There are 2 other options. First, the robot kid from the post-it room is entirely brand new, or the second option is it's someone I've never seen in the game, Baby. Now, the first option of a brand new character, yeah, it's cool, I guess. I can't really speculate about that. It could literally go anywhere and solve everything. As for option 2, Baby, just like with Gregory, there are certain things that fit and other things that just don't. Baby, like Gregory, could want to put the family back together. Baby has always wanted to make Daddy proud, so she'd be quite happy to kill off therapists that got too close to the truth, just like we see with 46. And she would willingly spread the Afton virus to make the animatronics scary in order to bring Daddy back. If she's using illusion discs, or if she acts like she does in the books, then it's possible that she'd be able to take the form of a child and make up a backstory. She's also a character that canonically loves disguises, just like Patient 46.
It reminds you of a mask? Like a disguise? Yeah, I can see that. You like the idea of being disguised? Disguises let you be sort of invisible, don't they?
There's also a line about the therapist being able to see Patient 46's eyes.
That's better. On this side of the desk, I can see your eyes.
And we know that Baby's eye color has always been an important detail in the past. But as with Gregory, there are still a number of holes with this line of thinking. Baby/Elizabeth likes flowers. Patient 46 doesn't. We also know Baby hates being in the basement of Sister Location. So then why, as Patient 46, would she prefer to live in a cave rather than blue sky? In short, as I wrap up my overall coverage of Security Breach, I guess I gotta summarize it like
FNAF is never going to have that happy ending. It's never gonna have that ending where you can just look at it and be like, everything fits so nice. It just, because it's better if it doesn't. But everybody wants that set in stone way. Just, this even goes back to the fucking box. You know, the box where literal Scott Cawthon was like, I can't open the box because if I did, there would always be people who never saw it the way he saw it, and people who viewed it, people who wouldn't accept what the answer is if it's too simple, if it just makes like it is a huge controversy, not gonna lie. That's just how it is. Nothing you can do to change that. That's that controversy, that's what keeps the game and the series alive. It doesn't stop. It just keeps going. Keeps going. Let's continue.
Frustrating from a lore standpoint. Smaller questions like Glamrock Bonnie and Golden Freddy, yeah, those are pretty easy to answer. But when it comes to what this game was actually about, no one theory actually solves it all in a clean way. There are references
we got 2 more
to every
videos.
corner of the FNAF universe in here.
I might run out of time.
Nothing fits cleanly together to solve everything. There are pieces that always dangle or always contradict something else. Do I think the crying child is here based on the post-it room? Yes, absolutely. Is he Gregory? I mean, right now, I think that he's our best option. Is he also Patient 46? It seems like he's trying to be, but there are just a lot of holes there. And there are holes in the Baby theory too, and that honestly just leaves the option of a mysterious third party pulling the strings.
Let's just pray that Patient 46 gets mentioned in like the next book.
Love to see a new character inserted into this lore, but on the other hand, it also feels
it's a big fuck you to the audience.
Well, that came out of nowhere. This franchise has never operated like that, so it feels weird for it to start acting that way now. Individually, small pieces of the mystery make sense, but when you take a step back and look at the wider lore of this series,
the goddamn web,
how it connects to the wider story arc that's been created, that's when things start to fall apart. And I think that is what is so frustrating with this title. So that's what I'm left with. Let me know what your thoughts are.
No
Are you
idea.
seeing things that I'm not? Hopefully it at least sparked some ideas in your head. And hey, if it did, you can let me know live right now. I am officially live with other members of Team Theorist, other FNAF tubers, all of us covering things about this game. My hot takes on the
Okay, does he say anything
that we haven't covered yet?
Besides that, wait a minute, hold the fuck up. God fucking damn it. Okay, I missed something. Never mind, I'll check it out later.
I got a big old bowl for $5. I got a big old bowl for $5. It's got mac and
Shut the
cheese
fuck up!
and cheese. I got a big old bowl for $5. Woo!
KFC's $5 mac and cheese bowls back for a limited
Nothing
time.
makes you lose your
Classic or
temper
spicy.
like ads.
Finger looking good.
It honestly is painful. I don't know how much storage space I have on my phone, so during this video at some point it's going to like how do I describe it? My face cam screen might just like pop off, and if it does, then I'm not gonna say anything at the end of the episode, and I'll just like extract. I'll have to do the last one in something else. Because I want my face to be there. Sorry. Maybe a little egomaniacal, but I kind of want my face to be there. All right. Oh, Matt, you thought you could just take a break. You thought it was over. It's never over, Matt Pat. I'm sorry. This would be the last one we do. So yeah, 3, 2, 1, play. FNAF stumped me again.
Would you look at that? Nearly 4 months without a single FNAF episode. Feels like it's a brand new day for the channel. There have been so many new games, new meta theories, even some classic episodes thrown in. I'm happy.
We're all serial killers deep down.
Good. And now, time to relax.
Too late. Oh yeah, the fucking the new Fazbear Frights book where they had the animatronic shark. That's what that was a reference to.
Game Theory,
I'm gonna
the
turn my
show where
fan
old
on.
habits and old animatronics die hard. Today we're talking about the 12th and final installment of the Fazbear Frights book series, Felix the Shark. That's right, friends, the final book.
Oh, there's a Sun and Moon book? Damn. Hold on a second. I gotta adjust my
Anyway,
pants.
let's not think about that and instead focus on Felix. Now, this final book is special. Just like all the others, it too is a collection of 3 short, spooky stories vaguely connected to the wider FNAF lore. But where this one is different is that it's meant to be a collection of cut stories. As the official description reads, quote, stories that didn't make the cut for the first 11 books. Which, okay, they didn't appear in numbers 1 through 11, but still, they wound up getting published anyway as the 12th one. Is that such a big deal? In fact, because they're last, they're probably in the most important position of any of the stories. And while you might assume that they were cut because they were weaker or lesser than the 33 other Fazbear Frights that were produced, it's not really true. You cut the story about an animatronic shark, but you kept the one where a boy turns into a traffic sign. You cut girl solves dead body shoved into animatronic suit mystery, but kept tiny guppy bodies. You cut a security guard named Mike going around collecting haunted FNAF memorabilia, and you kept Faz. The truth is, we don't really know why these were cut. It could have been a quality thing, it could have been that they confused the lore, or maybe, just maybe, it could have been that they were intentionally designed to set up secret puzzles that we were meant to solve.
Don't ask questions you don't want the answer to.
Realized. Spoiler alert, I think it might have been that last one. I believe that Scott was planning to use this final book as a launching point, the start of a real-world treasure hunt that would have required using the books, the games, even stuff like the coloring book in order to crack. I suspect that this was a riddle so far-reaching and so complex, it would have required the cooperation of FNAF
His final fuck you to the fandom.
I'm gonna explain the clues that led me to this conclusion,
Here he
but more
goes.
importantly, I'm gonna ask you for your help. You see, while I'm reasonably confident this thing was never finished, I'm not sure. I can't be sure unless you all double check for me. A few years ago, I asked for all your help in solving the security logbook, and a day later, we discovered the name of Cassidy. Today,
You got
I'm
it.
gonna ask you for something similar.
Whatever I can do to help, I'll do it.
Some weird corners of FNAF lore and some loose threads that I see in this new book, book, and then I'm gonna ask you for the favor. I need you to help me either solve this thing once and for all, or debunk it. And who knows, maybe this is the push that
Then
we
you
need to
are
get the next major answer to
you
the
are
game's lore.
overestimating my
Before you help me
intelligence.
with the lore, I was wondering if you'd help me in another way. It's time for our newest collection of Theoryware merch. And as always, you checking out the items goes a long way to help fund everything that we're doing over here on the channel. This collection in particular is going to be especially fun.
Got
for a
that
fan
theory
of
merch.
analog
I'm just
horror,
gonna
the
skip through the
X-Files,
theory
or
merch.
fact final run. It's also Theorist brand green to give excited of this new.
Last time I didn't, but this time I'm running on time, so I have to.
This is deliver you as many times.
These are actually really cool designs. I'm not gonna lie.
Garment that goes right below the section.
I feel bad that I skipped through that.
Thank you guys so much for the support. Now back to FNAF. In order to unwrap the secret FNAF ARG,
Open
let's
it
start
up.
by breaking down the stories in Felix the Shark, shall we? The final story, You're the Band, is probably the most obviously related to existing FNAF lore. In it, a small boy named Timmy becomes obsessed with everyone's favorite pizza murder franchise, Freddy Fazbear's. His mother finds him a strange Freddy mask on the internet and gives it to him for his birthday.
Yeah, we all have.
Putting it on, Timmy starts to change. He doesn't like the things he used to. He becomes moody and aggressive. He even yells about
Brett, you're good. I have a cursed mask too in my room. Take it to college with
you got
me.
a strawberry back there? That's chocolate. That's vanilla. Quit playing. Now we're talking. Bunny's up, buddy.
Here's to that classic, delicious taste. Bunny's up, buddy.
Not gonna lie, like, we all
Timmy
have
is
cursed
led to an
masks, Timmy.
abandoned
We all have
Freddy
them. I got one over there. It's all good. It's all good.
Fazbear's building by a shadowy
actually
figure.
true.
The whole thing gives off some very solid Midnight Motorist vibes. In order to rescue him, his mother teams up with a former Freddy's security guard named Mike. Turns out the Freddy
Nice.
mask was possessed by one of the children from the original Fazbear murders. When Timmy put on the mask, the spirit
Cool.
transferred into his body, which allowed it to control him. When Mike and Timmy's mom arrive at the restaurant, Timmy is on stage in Freddy's position, performing alongside Bonnie and Chica. After getting attacked by the puppet, Mike manages to get the Freddy mask back onto Timmy, which captures the spirit. He then puts the mask back onto the original Freddy head, getting the spirit back to where it belongs. Now, I admit,
Bro,
I got
Mike
really
is just,
excited
he
when I
has
read the
seen
story.
all of this shit. Like, you know what? I've seen this before. It's in my pay grade. I'll just go take the mask and fucking put it back on Freddy and problem solved. It's my job. Damn,
We've suspected
fucking
for a while that FNAF
Mike.
1 security guard Mike Schmidt was really Michael Afton going from location to location to undo the evils of his father, William. That's why we play as Mike through pretty much every installment of the series up through Ultimate Custom Night. It's why Mike's name appears in Sister Location, why Fazbear Frights burns down in FNAF 3, and why the security guard in FNAF 2 is fired for tampering with animatronics and odor, just like
Mike is
was
the
in FNAF
OG.
1. Up until now, that theory's never been confirmed, but this story seems to be strong evidence for exactly that idea. A security guard named Mike going around collecting the old artifacts from Freddy locations in order to help free the spirits
Mike.
of those trapped within. So that was already pretty cool and totally made reading this book worthwhile. Anytime we can get more evidence to support a theory within the franchise, absolutely worth it. But while You're the Band was explicitly
The Scoop
lore-heavy,
and
the
Felix
other
the
two stories
Shark.
were equally fascinating, but for different reasons. There were details that felt odd or out of place, and comments from characters that seemed oddly specific in a way that just triggered my lore hunting.
Use my
In the
brain.
title story, Felix the Shark, we follow a young man named Dirk who's reminiscing with his friends about their shared experiences with Freddy Fazbear's. However, Dirk's memory is slightly different to everyone else's. He's convinced that there was an extra animatronic, a shark named Felix. When his friends make fun of him, Dirk
The
sets off on
hell?
a cross-country quest to prove that he's not crazy. It takes him 6 restaurants, but Dirk eventually does
This
learn
man
the truth.
traveled cross country, tracking down 5 minutes at Freddy's restaurants because he could have sworn that he knew that there was a shark in the band, and his friends were like, nah, you're joking, right? And he's like, no, I'm not crazy. A crazy person would do that, though. Travel cross country for this shit. No, he's perfectly sane. Just like me.
Turns out, Felix was made by the owner of one very specific Freddy Fazbear's after his son tragically drowned. Why would that lead him to a shark animatronic? Because it was a shark that actually pushed the body back to shore. Couldn't make this stuff up if I tried. Eventually, Dirk does manage to locate Felix. The whole FNAF pizzeria is
so it's like Splash Lagoon type situation. Not gonna lie, that's pretty cool. That's actually pretty fucking terrifying if you go down the whirly slide and you realize there's a goddamn shark in the water.
Part isn't the where, but rather the how of finding Felix. You see, Dirk is only able to find the pizzeria using a series of clues that are found in a random
That's truly
novel
terrifying.
written by the creator's
Felix
daughter.
is in the goddamn pipes. He just has his own common sense and travels around the entire goddamn park. We don't know what the fuck's going on. He's abandoned, so no one's gonna stop him.
Universe, Felix's creator also had a daughter who grew up to become a popular author. And in one of her books, The Dogged Dogmatist, she hides a series of clues in plain sight within the book's dialogue. These clues ultimately prove meaningless to the characters in the book because they weren't meant for the characters. They were instead meant for the readers, to give them information they needed to find Felix. It is very weird. Anyway, Dirk figures all of this out and confronts the author. She gives him her butterfly necklace, and he uses all of this Indiana Jones style to unlock a secret key hidden in the bottom of an empty pool at the water park. The key unlocks the path to the secret Freddy's where Dirk finally finds Felix. And then Dirk dies by climbing into the tank with Felix because these characters always have to die in the stories. It's dumb, but, you know, so be it. Anyway, you see what's so weird about all this?
That's completely stupid. Who climbs, even though it's animatronic, who the fuck climbs into a tank with a shark? Bro, this man... People with this stupid, he deserve to die, man. Ugh.
This, right? Out of nowhere, this story is talking about clues
book.
to a real-world location hidden inside of another book. Clues that are meaningless to the characters, but meaningful to the readers. Not only did this stand out to me as a suspiciously meta moment, but it also got me to immediately think about the previous Fazbear Frights installment, Prankster. You see, in preparation for the release of Felix the Shark, I wanted to refresh myself on all the previous stories. There are 33 of these things after all. It's a lot to keep track of. So I turned to another book, the recently released Ultimate Guidebook, which, if you don't know,
I saw that
summaries
in
of
Walmart.
Literally everything that's ever happened in the Freddy Fazbear universe, from the games to the books to the fan theories. Basically, if you're trying to catch up with the series quickly, it's definitely worth a read. And since this is the third and final addition to the book, one written by Scott
himself,
Cawthon, you know that whatever is deemed most relevant for the lore is going to be called out within its pages. Anyway, each Fazbear Fright story has its own little summary page providing a general plot overview as well as a list of connections between the story and the games. Not everything here is useful, but it definitely gets into the mindset of the authors, and it helps you see some of the connections that the stories were trying to make. Again, if it doesn't make the cut to appear in this book, you're likely barking down the wrong path. Likewise, if something is called out within these pages, it's at least worth considering when theory crafting. TLDR, as I was getting close to the end of my refresher course, I noticed this in the new lead section for the title story of Book 11, Prankster. Quote, some of the puzzle clues, such as Stinger Moot and even more frights, may have implications beyond the plot. Careful readers may want to give these scenes a second look. Implications beyond the plot, you say? Just like with Felix the Shark, it appears that the Ultimate Guide is also pointing us to meta clues within a different book. Clues that are meant for us, the readers, rather than for the characters in the story.
I haven't read Prankster.
So I went back to Prankster. In this story, the main character Jeremiah is trying to save his friends from a mysterious glitchy voice that's freed itself from a FNAF VR game.
Get him, Jeremiah, with the bat.
Pretty darn familiar. Along the way, he's presented with a series of riddles. Stinger Moot, which is an anagram of testing room. Give me one and I'll make more. Each one like the one before. What am I? Your next clue contains even more frights. To get there, you just need to follow the lights. I see you're moving closer to your goal. Follow the lights to make things right. And for the key to find where your friends hide, roll up your sleeves and reach inside. Now, I've gone back and forth over these clues multiple times, but it felt like a lot of them were just pointing back to stuff that we'd already discussed in previous theories. The give me one and I'll make more felt like a reference to the glitch trap cult, using FNAF VR's tapes to infect more playtesters. The following the lights clues maybe could be a reference to Princess Quest, where we have to light the lanterns to reveal the truth.
You know what? I just realized something when you said that.
This was new information.
Is that if in is that Security Breach might not be the last. It's not going to be the last game because of the fact that, get this, because of the fact that if the true ending in what's it called? VR pizzeria virtual reality, that one, whatever the hell. Five Nights at Freddy's VR. If the real ending to that was getting trapped by Glitch Trap, that would mean that whoever is playing, male or female, is still out there, and they are just like Vanny in the world. That is an entire another FNAF game. All in itself. Think about that. He just blew my mind again.
Information. We've talked about all of this stuff in depth. Security Breach seemed to confirm some of this stuff, and to be honest, the connections I could make were speculative at best. I tried rearranging the letters and the anagrams, didn't really get anything interesting. I even considered that maybe the Stinger Moot and Even More Frights clues were literal. The Stingers of the Fazbear Frights books were the epilogues about the Stitch Raids, so maybe if the Stinger is moot, then the Stitch Raid stuff is ultimately meaningless. Even More Frights might refer to the next set of books, Tales of the Pizzaplex. I mean, sure, that's a valid explanation, but it was speculation at best, and
running out of battery at the moment. Let's charge it up. That was lamer than that ad.
Go to all the trouble of hiding meta clues like this about stuff that feels ultimately underwhelming.
Freddy
These aren't
equal
really
bear.
questions that people were asking themselves, you know? So, at least according to the Ultimate Guide, there's definitely something hidden inside of that prankster story, and I'm not exactly sure what it is. But there was even more that was suspicious with Felix the Shark. You see, Dirk doesn't just find the secret Freddies thanks to written clues inside of a random book, there's also a very specific drawing in the middle of that book. Here's the full quote when describing the Dogged Dogmatist, the book where the hidden clues are from. Quote, "The man's search for the creature was convoluted on the whole, but certain lines in the book went beyond convoluted. They just didn't make sense. Neither did the drawing in the middle of the book, an ornate and frilly sketch of what looked like butterflies and flowers. The drawing was never referred to in the book, and it couldn't be related to any of the story. Were the odd lines and drawings some kind of code? For what purpose?"
Scott just wants to fuck with our minds
are brought up in this
at
one
this
story.
point.
There was yet another odd reference in Felix the Shark that jumped out to me. Quote again, "I'd forgotten all about Freddy's, but yeah, now I remember. I loved the Freddy's coloring books. That's what started my drawing. Eventually I got tired of coloring and just drew the figures. Last year, the official FNAF coloring book released, which for a normal franchise would be a big ol' who cares moment. But here, where the biggest character reveals happened in a spin-off children's activity book, yeah, I wouldn't put anything past this franchise. So it felt strange to mention a real-world item for it only to mean nothing. So, of course, I bought myself the coloring book and
There
the
you
official
go.
How to Draw book. I went through the pages over and over and over again, but the only thing I was drawing was a blank. Seriously though, I couldn't find anything. Loads of cool pieces of artwork, like this twisted Chica that's only ever mentioned by name, but nothing major. I checked with black lights, I heated up a page or two to see if it would reveal some invisible ink. Nothing. Or at least nothing that I could find. And then it hit me. What if this wasn't about solving a mystery within the story, but instead something bigger, something more real? The clues in Dirk's book didn't make any sense until you were in the right place at the right time. This could all be hinting at an ARG, where just like Dirk, if you find the location, suddenly the clues that people had been theorizing about for months start to fall into place. Which leads us to the final story of Felix the Shark, The Scoop. In this story, a young girl named Mandy is an online FNAF theorist. No joke, she even signs off one of her posts by saying, and I quote, "I can't share all my secret facts yet until I solve this game theory."
That's funny.
Anyway,
Hold on a
Mandy
second, I
digs
have
through
to
the
check
code of
something.
FNAF 3.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I didn't necessarily know what an ARG was. Hear it used all the time. I knew what it was without knowing what it was, if you know what I mean.
Literally,
I know what an
FNAF 3
ARG
the
is,
game
I just didn't know what
mentioned
the
explicitly, only
letters.
to discover a hidden picture
The
of a
A,
building.
the R,
She
and a
tracks it
G
down and she learns
actually
about a
meant,
real-life missing
you know.
children's incident. After a few nightmares where the spirit of the dead child appears, she ends up going to the location only to find an old animatronic bear giving off a nasty smell. Surprise, surprise, the kid was inside of there the whole time. Mandy is praised as a hero for finally finding the missing child, and she closes out her blog by saying, quote, "I will probably never know for certain how this mysterious building is connected to the FNAF universe. The only thing I am certain of is if the creator
So the only
wanted
way
us to
the only
know,
way
I
this
think
is
he
game
would
theory is
tell
gonna
us."
end is if Matt Pat finds a dead child inside an animatronic suit. Interesting.
Wow. Just wow. Feeling a bit attacked, not gonna lie. Though, in my defense, if we waited for Scott to tell us anything, we'd know next to nothing about this franchise's lore. Just saying. Anyway, outside of the heavy references in this story to theorists and the real-world game of FNAF 3, the weirdest thing about this one is that it contains a lot of specific details as to where the events of the story take place. 33 Fazbear Frights in, and no other story in the franchise features this level of detail. The cities, the street names, file names, locations of buildings, details that are seemingly inconsequential to the greater story, and in pretty much every other book would be skimmed over or kept vague. When Mandy finds this mysterious image in the game files, she traces it back to Utah. Yes, the actual US state. This fact is further solidified when Mandy's mom takes her on a business trip to Cedar City, a real city in Utah, to complete the investigation. Now this is where
I honestly remember, I remember when FNAF Five Nights at Freddy's first came out, and it was very popular. I was like in elementary school, or middle school in general. And I remember looking up on a computer where the actual Five Nights at Freddy's was, and what came up was a restaurant in, I honestly think it was Utah. And I think that was that was where it was located. I don't know. I have that weird memory of it. Like, I wonder where Five Nights at Freddy's is. Like, I didn't know. I knew it was a video game, but I was like, maybe it was based off a real world restaurant. And I looked it up and I was like, Utah? What the hell? Or maybe it was a state near Utah, but I was still surprised nonetheless.
Looking for is an old cinema on Willowfield Road in Peace Valley, which after a lot of Google searches I can tell you just doesn't exist, at least not in Utah. However, in the story we do learn that Peace Valley is only 15 minutes on highway from Cedar City, so I looked up where you can drive to in 15 minutes from the center of Cedar City, and it turns out there's a very small town just to the south called Canaraville. So I hopped onto Google Street View to check out other details that the book mentioned, like the old cinema, which used to be a pizzeria, as well as having a post office on the corner. Unfortunately, neither of these things seem to exist in Canaraville. They do have a post office, and it's near a corner, but it's more like the middle of the street. And so, shy of me buying a plane ticket to go to the middle of nowhere Utah myself, my options were once again drying up. So, okay, but what about the actual game? The game Mandy is playing is specifically called out to be FNAF 3. I wondered if Scott had maybe retroactively put a file into the game that maybe everyone's missed, so I went over to Steam and looked at the update logs, but the game hasn't been updated since April of 2015, and I very much doubt that Scott's been playing a 7-year-long con, especially since Into the Pit, the first Fazbear Frights book, didn't hit store shelves until December of 2019. But Mandy wasn't just playing FNAF 3, it's explicitly mentioned that she's playing the FNAF 3 mobile port. So
the $6 Your Way deal at Burger King is a triple win. Your choice of a bacon double cheeseburger or a rodeo double.
So I took a look at those update logs. Same situation. The game hasn't been updated since February of 2020. Now, we don't know when this story got cut in the 2 years of Fazbear Frights run, so it could have been in existence then, but I'll be honest, I do not have the elite hacker skills to bust open a mobile game to look for the files. And so, just like that, I was out of options, out of clues, out of ideas. Gotta be honest, I feel kinda defeated on this one. Weeks of looking through these books trying to find something that just wasn't clicking, and yet I couldn't shake it. The whole thing gave me some big Gravity Falls ARG vibes. For those of you who don't know, one of my favorite TV shows of all time, Gravity Falls, did this massive globe-spanning ARG back in 2016. It was a series that was all about
because it is a theory,
complete with a book, much like the survival logbook that you could buy that contained puzzles and secrets for the fan community to solve. And this ARG, launched after the conclusion of the show, tasked fans of the series from all corners of the map to work together in a quest that would eventually lead them to a statue of the show's villain, Bill Cipher, hidden out in the middle of the woods. Maybe FNAF was seeding out clues for something similar. Or maybe there were plans to do a similar sort of treasure hunt, but the plans got scrapped along the way. I can't be sure, but there were just too many weird details here that didn't seem to be mere coincidences. Regardless, I'd been bested, but that didn't mean I was done. The last time I felt like this was when the survival logbook released, but instead of giving up, I threw the clues that I'd noticed out to you guys, the theorist community, to help me solve it, and he came through. We found Cassidy's name, a name that is
Scott!
Confirmed by Scott himself. So here I am again at the end of my tether.
The man
asking you
himself.
For help once more. It seems like something's here, but if it is, I can't figure it out on my own. Maybe you're a theorist from Utah and you know the locations I'm talking about. Maybe you do know how to break open the files of a mobile game. Maybe you're as obsessed with this franchise as I am, and you too have the coloring book, and you notice something on those pages that I don't. We haven't let FNAF beat us yet, and we're sure as heck not gonna let it happen today. If you think you've gotten yourself some answers, or maybe just another lead, head on over to the Game Theorist subreddit to post your findings. I'm gonna be keeping a very close eye on this one, cause like you, I wanna see this franchise solved. Link is down in the description below to check out the Game Theorist subreddit. And speaking of what's below the video, one final reminder about the new Theoryware, which is available.
Alright, we don't have time for Theoryware.
Launches that we've done in terms
Too busy looking at the subreddit. Which
number of
probably going to definitely check out. Hold on a second. Let's go check out that subreddit. Give me a sec to look for it. Help me solve it. Okay, I'm opening up the subreddit right now, and we're just gonna skip through all of this to see if anything's important. No, okay, everything's fine. Okay, last thing. Game Theory. The final security breach mystery, whatever the fuck it's called. They stumped him to do something.
Our green teams are lighting the way by planting the seeds of sustainability.
Oh, hold up a second. I'm in the middle of something. I'm in the middle. Smartest subreddit in gaming. Okay, I'm not a Redditor. I don't have a Reddit thingy, but I can at least take a look at this. Okay. Oh wait, when did that come out? Probably a while ago. But let's look at the top thing. Fan art call for the GT Live Studio. Actually, what the fuck? Why am I even on this? Anything that he needed help solving, he probably has solved by now. And I can't join because I don't have a thing. Or maybe I do. Hold on, let me check something. Do I have a thing I can continue with Google? No, okay. Too much work going forward. We're just gonna go into this. And I don't know how much time I have left before my storage gives out, but we're still running, so we're still good. I'm gonna shut up right now. 3, 2, 1. The final secret solved. Play.
At this point, we've solved every lingering mystery from Security Breach. We looked at this thing from top to bottom. Glamrock Freddy, Golden Freddy, the missing Bonnie, the infuriating Patient 46. We connected every detail. We called every child a robot. And that's where I was happy to leave it. FNAF dead and buried once more. Except for that time I talked about the potential real-life ARG, but we're just gonna ignore that ever happened. But now,
wait a
it's
minute.
reborn yet
Wait a minute,
again,
are you
risen
saying
from the ashes.
Oh right, the fucking DLC. I forgot about that. But with what he's saying, so is the entire last episode just scrapped? Like it's bullshit? Doesn't make me mean anything? Fucking damn it! God damn it! But the DLC dropped, or this poster at least dropped, and with that, we got some shit to talk about.
Brand new DLC teaser a month ago, and the start of a brand new book series literally this week. FNAF is back, which means it's time I dive back in and cover the one thing that I was too scared to talk about when I was doing theories earlier this year. It's the one topic that very few have spoken about because it's just so darn confusing. I appreciate that probably doesn't narrow it down a whole bunch, because let's face it, most of this game's lore feels that way. I forget his name. This was on a whole separate level. Fred boys and manga girls, it's time to talk about the Blob.
The Blob, it seems.
Hello, Internet. Welcome to Game Theory, the show that's full of so much
agony from analyzing FNAF. They honestly did not talk much about the Blob because the Blob was so unto-talk-about-able. You know what I said.
Probably bring its own animatronic to life. Maybe then I'd finally get a vacation. Soon, my precious. Soon. So, you heard the cold open, there's a new FNAF book, there's a new FNAF teaser. But before I get to any of that, there's one topic that all of us left lingering from Security Breach. Everyone's favorite massive animatronic parts and black tentacles, the Blob. Or, as I like to call him,
I kinda wanna know something, hold on a second. If I go into YouTube, is there a trailer for that? FNAF, trailer. Is there an official trailer that they created for the DLC? Or no, because I think it was just the teaser, and the teaser is like that one image. And then people are making their own. People are making a lot of their own. But there's none. Okay, this one's official, but I mean, it's not made by this company. It's by New FNAF. I just phrase. If you don't know me, then okay. I want to know when the official one's coming out. That'd be awesome. That'd be awesome. Okay, back to the video.
I don't know if you're aware, but FNAF is in the process of becoming a real pizza place. Not real. Basically, they're doing the same ghost kitchen stuff that Mr. Beast did for his food company, where existing restaurants just make extra food under a different brand. I actually did a food theory explaining it all. Check it out after the video.
Are you honestly talking shit? Like, are you?
Anyway, with a real life Freddy's comes the need for some real life food, and if
Five
Freddy's
Nights at
spaghetti
Freddy's,
is not an item
bro,
on
me
that
and my
menu,
friends
so
will
help
go
me, I will write
ape shit if this is real. I need to know.
Lightly worded letter to their social media account and kindly request that they reconsider. Anyway, the blob was, at the time, the mystery that no one could crack.
Daco
Then you've
talking
got the
about
blob
it.
as well. The blob's just on another level of complicated.
Mass
The
Bandit.
blob, there are so many animatronic bodies there that have no reason to be there. I'm gonna take a stab in the dark. I think I put Henry in the blob.
The blob is just the catch-all, all loose ends.
And anything we don't understand, it's in there. It's in the blob.
But you know what? It's been half a year. I'm done just throwing all our unanswered questions into this literal landfill of a character.
gotta stretch.
Today we're getting some definitive answers as to what and
Oh, my
who this
back
thing might
cracked
actually
like
be.
crazy.
Those answers are gonna do two things for us. One, they'll
God.
absolutely help clarify how we talk about this
Jeez.
franchise moving forward. And two, they'll certainly have severe implications for the Ruined DLC
Oh,
that's coming out
next
early
year.
next year. So in the event that you repress this game, and specifically this character in your memory like I did, here's the quickest of reminders. In Security Breach, if you stay past 6 a.m. and defeat all the other animatronics, you're able to descend down into the basement of the Pizzaplex. It's there that you discover the remains of the FNAF 6 restaurant
Freddy
with a
gets
big old
pissed.
hole in the middle. Try to go down that hole on your own, and you're immediately jump scared by the face of Funtime Freddy attached to a big oily tentacle. But hop into Glamrock Freddy and he protects them,
friends
saying that
are
his
here.
friends are here and that they're angry and confused. Then, during the Afton fight, those same oily tentacles pop in from the vents, trying to capture you, or anyone, to be honest. Burn Afton enough times and you get the final cutscene where the blob returns to drag Afton off into the ceiling to keep him in cold storage
He always
until the
comes
next
back.
game. And because this is one of only a handful of animated cutscenes in Security Breach, everyone assumes that this is the true canon ending of the game. So figuring out what this thing is meant to be
goddamn
must be pretty darn
serious.
important, right? So I guess it's time for me to stop stalling and start theorizing. The best place to start is to understand what exactly this thing's made out of, because really, it's a who's who of FNAF history. Obviously, we see Funtime Freddy as its main face. As you're descending
Got a
down
little
the
bit
hole,
of
though, you
everything.
can definitely make out FNAF 1's Chica. The shape of the head and the torso are a dead giveaway here. Peeking out is
I'm a
also
little
FNAF
bit
1's
of
body. Notice the
every body. That was my best impression of fucking that guy. Ennard voice.
coloring of it and the lack of rosy cheeks. We also have a few random
Ennard.
arms and legs popping out. These all match the style of FNAF 1 animatronics. Notice the 3 toes on the feet and the 3 fingers and thumb with no joints on the fingers of the hands. And that's about all that you can make out from just looking at this thing in the game. But if you extract the in-game model and look at all the other sides, you find that there's a lot more hidden here. Mangle is hanging out directly opposite Freddy's face, and if you look closely, you can also find its rib cage, arm, and 2 of its feet hanging out elsewhere.
Puppet.
Low on one side of the blob is the puppet's mask, except it's missing one major detail.
Right.
The iconic tears are gone.
Big
that is
deal.
a huge clue that we're going to
His
need
baby
to address.
is there.
And finally, we have Circus Baby's mask, the only one of the animatronics to not have her eyes lit up. Again, that is a
Write that
huge
down, write that
detail
down.
that has to be important to this thing in some way. Baby's arm is also hanging around inside this thing. We know it's definitely Baby's and not Funtime Freddy's because Baby's hands have rounded silver tips on the fingers, just like we see here. Like I said, it is a real mishmash of animatronics. It's almost like Steel Wool wanted a one-stop shop for FNAF's greatest hits. And weird details like Baby's eyes being extinguished and the puppet's missing tears feel like the game trying to tell us something, but what? Well, after identifying each and every arm and leg sticking out of this thing, there was still one animatronic in the spaghetti that really got my MatPat tingle going. This guy right here. Hidden away at the very bottom of the mess is a naked endoskeleton consisting of a single animatronic head, 2 arms, and a missing eye, with a body position that looks like it's desperately trying to pull itself out. His position right at the bottom also felt like he was intentionally hidden, the kind of thing that you would overlook a few times, but clearly he's meant to be important. He's the only animatronic in this mess that's missing an eye, but his other eye is illuminated, which immediately puts him on the same level as the more iconic characters that we see absorbed into this bizarre amalgamation. So, who is it? What is it? Just a random endoskeleton?
No way.
No, couldn't be. But to know for sure, I had to look closer. My first instinct was that it must be Golden Freddy. I mean, looking at the roster of characters inside the blob, pretty much every major animatronic is.
With the all-new Baby and Fairy Pet Finders, discover the magic that's all around you.
NFL Plus is for every fan. This is your game.
Sometimes I question how I get some of these ads.
Is represented in some way. Freddy, Bonnie, Chica, Foxy, Puppet, Baby, all of them are here, but Golden Freddy is strangely absent. Plus, with the animatronic only having one eye, I thought that maybe it was discreetly hinting at the fact that while the crying child's spirit was released in the good ending of FNAF 3, another spirit remained trapped in the metal. Cassidy,
it does kind of look like a vengeful
still here
spirit.
And still angry. It felt very reminiscent of the two endings of FNAF 3. In case you don't recall, FNAF 3 was the first game in the series to introduce a good and bad ending. Finding all the secret minigames led you to Happiest Day, where the souls of the dead kids are put to rest and we're given a final image of unlit animatronic heads. But if you just finish the game normally,
get the lore,
you instead get this, the bad ending. An image of those exact same masks, but each one with one eye lit up. A spirit remains in each body. Well, all of them except for Golden Freddy's mask in the background, which has 2 eyes lit. 2 eyes for 2 spirits, and in the intervening years, 1 has been released. However, despite lots of pieces thematically lining up, there was one glaring issue here. Golden Freddy doesn't have himself an endoskeleton. He's a spring-lock suit. It's why Golden Freddy is always hunched over. He has no skeleton, no frame. So if Golden Freddy's now off the table, who else could it be? Well, obviously his defining feature is that one lit eye. But it's not only that one eye is lit, it's that he's physically missing the second eye. So I sat down and went through my mind's encyclopedia of FNAF lore to remember what other characters only have one eye. Immediately I thought Foxy might make a good contender, except Foxy isn't actually missing an eye. He just has one covered up by an eye patch. Same thing for Withered Foxy.
But Lefty's the marionette.
The strange black animatronic bear from FNAF 6 that was designed as a capture suit for the puppet. Nope, the eye that's missing is on the wrong side. You know what? Forget it. Maybe it is just a random endoskeleton because why not? It's Security Breach. But you know what? It's not that either. You see, FNAF 1 endoskeletons are canonically more boxy and streamlined, not this guy. The body in the blob is actually closer to the Endo 02 models that we see used in FNAF 2. Those have thin spring-like coils around their main skeleton. But even then, what we see in the blob is different. Notice the thick round discs that are directly connected to the skeletal structure. You don't see that in Endo 02s. It's almost like these things' arms are actually its legs. But that doesn't really make a whole lot of sense, or does it? Because there is one animatronic that actually has hands connecting to leg joints. One with an Endo 02 head that's missing its right eye. One with wires hanging out the side and with 4 rounded fingers at the end of each hand. It is the Mangle. Just, you know, it's Mangle's other head. That weird guy who's just kind of hanging out over there on the body. It is a direct match. Okay, gotta be honest with you. I was excited to identify this mystery animatronic, but also, yeah, disappointed.
Mangle's already there.
Animatronic that's trying to pull itself out of the bottom of the blob feels like it should mean something special, but Mangle being the answer just feels empty. Like, yeah, we already know Mangle's in this thing. The head is very obvious on the body. So, like so much else inside of this game, it was a mystery that led to a dead end. But hey, now that we have the complete and definitive roster of who's inside this thing, we can actually start to figure out why they're inside this thing. Because these are some weird picks. When last we left everyone, we had Molten Freddy and Scrap Baby. So why do we now have older versions of these animatronics inside the blob? Also, how do we suddenly have FNAF 1 and 2 era animatronics mixed in when none of these older models were a part of FNAF 6's fire?
Can someone please just use anything other than fire to kill these things? If at first you don't succeed, try again, but at a certain point you just gotta like cut it off and be like, you know what? Maybe there's something else. Silver bullet, steak and hard garlic, just literally
kind of funny.
Anything.
Honestly, this was the main reason I didn't want to cover the blob. It just felt like one big continuity error. But now
then
that I've come
there's
to the end of my sanity trying to determine
Scott,
what animatronic a finger belongs to, I think an answer has presented itself to me through the darkness. And you know what? I was wrong. Dead wrong. So the opening area of Security Breach is Rockstar Row, and it's full of memorabilia from the past pizzerias. You got stuff like OG Foxy's torso and jaw placed inside a display cases. There's also Bonnie's guitar, Freddy's bow tie, Chica's cupcake, even random stuff like Chica's feet or animatronic leg pieces. But it's not the items that are there that are interesting, it's the ones that are missing. If you look closely at these display cases, the majority of them have at least one missing item with a small description plaque in front of the empty space. Unfortunately, we can't see what exactly is on the plaques, but if torsos and feet are being displayed, then it isn't too hard to imagine that these could have been the heads, masks, arms, items that have been collected and added to the blob. In fact, that would explain why it's Circus Baby and Funtime Freddy heads inside of the blob instead of Scrap Baby and Molten Freddy. It's not a continuity error like all of us assumed, it's just a really obscure lore point. Remember that FNAF sister location ended with all the animatronics teamed up to form Ennard, a literal tangle of wires and eyeballs, and that was pretty much it. But once Ennard was puked up and Baby got voted out of the team, that tangle of wires needed shape and form. This in turn gave rise to Scrap Baby and Molten Freddy, creatures created from literal trash, not official versions of the characters, for as much as they might look like the original characters. As far as Fazbear Entertainment memorabilia is concerned, the Circus Baby mask and Funtime Freddy head, they're the latest versions of those characters. They're put on display for fans of the series to see, parts that this tangle of black goo could steal from the displays and absorb into its own being. Same with the OG suits and Mangle Body. Scrap Baby and Molten Freddy, meanwhile, they're unofficial characters. They were never created by Fazbear Entertainment or displayed inside of a pizzeria. In short, I'm sorry, Steel Wool. I'm not sorry about a lot of the things I've said about some of the lore decisions in this game, but in this individual case, I'm sorry that I assumed that this was just a sloppy continuity error when in actuality, it was a lot more thoughtful than I could have ever expected. We just didn't give you enough benefit of the doubt here. So like an overeager Funko Pop collector, there's a tangle of black wires lurking in the Pizzaplex hunting for souvenirs from the franchise. And believe it or not, this actually lines up with a random detail from the story New Kid in the third Fazbear Frights book. As a group of kids are exploring an abandoned Freddy's restaurant, we get this line, quote, "While they were in the bathroom, Devin was pretty sure he heard something slithering through the walls. He didn't say anything. From the way the other boys' faces paled, he knew they heard it too." That is the line, and it never pays off. Not in this story, not in this book, not in the entire book series. The whole story actually winds up being a Golden Freddy story, strangely enough, but it leaves Chekhov's tentacle monster just sitting there in the walls waiting to be used, probably because it was meant to pay off in Security Breach, a game that was originally meant to release closer to that story's publication, but the repeated delays in Security Breach threw all of that synergistic programming off.
That is another...
Our use of water represents our future.
That's like a main detail too. Something that I definitely forgot was the fact that Security Breach was supposed to release a lot earlier than originally planned. Oh, well, not originally planned. It was supposed to release a lot earlier than it actually was.
Looks the way it does, but really, what are these tentacles? Well, that's where the puppet mask Missing Tears comes in. I think we're all familiar with this thing's story, right? In the aftermath of kids getting killed at Freddy's restaurants, the creator, Henry, institutes a security program in the form of the puppet. In FNAF 6, we literally see this thing called Security Puppet. Sadly, Henry's daughter Charlie is killed outside of the confines of the restaurant. The puppet finds her too late and lies down beside her in the rain, and the two become one. And in FNAF 6, the last official time that we see this character, it comes complete with tears in its eyes. In fact, in every iteration of the character, the puppet mask has tears. Or should I say almost every iteration. Look at the Security Puppet minigame from before Charlie's death. The mask has no tears. It's only after Charlie dies and the thing is possessed that tears suddenly form on the mask. Tears mean that Charlie's soul is inside of this thing. But now there are no tears left on the mask because Charlie's soul has been released. She's no longer inside Security Puppet. When Henry burned everything at the end of FNAF 6, it worked. Kinda. It freed all the souls that were trapped inside of the metal. This coincides with what we see on the blueprints for Remnant. Overheating might neutralize the effects permanently. However, it didn't work bitches. There's one thing that Henry's fire didn't account for. Something that it didn't purge: agony. You see, Remnant soul metal might be the focus of the games, but it isn't the only powerful force that drives this franchise forward. The other is actually found within the pages of the Fazbear Frights books: agony. Now, it's important to distinguish the difference between agony and remnant. I've seen a lot of places using the terms interchangeably.
Remnant, I would say, is more like science-y. Agony is more just like pure, kind of like what you'd expect. What would make a soul not want to rest. And Remnant is more like evil genius.
Different. Remnant is all about the soul. When an animatronic becomes possessed, that spirit literally becomes attached to the metal. That metal can then be melted down into a substance that Fazbear Frights describes as a boiling liquid mercury,
more or
aka
less.
remnant. If you inject that metal into other animatronics, it suddenly
You
brings
see
them to life
science,
using the
kinda.
power of the original souls. Compare that to agony. In the books, agony is studied by Dr. Phineas Taggart. He states that agony, quote, has a greater energetic radius and power than any other
Agony-
emotion. I've done numerous experiments to measure, capture, contain, and study the leftover
When
emotion
rage
embedded
actually
into objects that
hurts.
were near a tragedy. The book even goes so far to explain that the items Phineas has collected weren't possessed by ghosts or spirits, but instead were energized by agony. So when someone feels agony, it doesn't just stay with them, it can infect inanimate objects around them and linger there. In other words, while those original animatronics no longer have
kinda
spirits
cool.
powering them, the agony they felt while being
Agony
murdered remains
agony is
attached
like
to
a
the suits.
superpower.
That's why the Blob's interested in collecting the suits. It's not collecting spirits, it's collecting agony. By combining them, it becomes more powerful. All the pain and suffering
You
of
are
the
now
children
faced
over
with
years
the
brought together to
almighty
create
power of the ultimate form. The Blob. The Blob.
one giant
Makes
monster.
sense.
That's why the eyes are glowing
But
red for
it's
all the
like-
animatronics and endoskeletons. It's also why the puppet
Insane.
and baby aren't
It's
glowing.
fucking
The puppet has been put to
insane,
rest
but
by
it
her
makes
father.
sense.
She's no longer tormented.
My daughter, if you can hear me, it's time to rest. For you and for those you have carried in your arms.
And baby,
Oh, I'm
well, yeah,
pissed.
she is certainly angry. She is jealous, but she's also eager to please her
She's
father even after death.
Now we can do what we were created to do and be complete. I will make you proud, Daddy.
She embraces the monster that she's become. She's not filled with agony, but everyone else, absolutely. Even in that finale speech, we hear Henry say it.
This place will not be remembered, and the memory of everything that started
Until like the
this
last
can
FNAF
finally
game.
begin to fade away.
He's like you in boss fight with Afton, and he's just powered by agony, so much agony that he goes Super Saiyan. I'm just it's ridiculous, but at the same time, it makes sense.
As the agony of every tragedy should.
He literally said it.
He did it. He
What a
said the
guy.
word. So there you have it, friends. Over half a year after the game's release, we finally solved the last mystery of Security Breach. The Blob isn't a giant continuity breaker. It's just a very cleverly composed amalgamation of animatronic parts slithering through
got
the
that.
walls looking to accumulate agony. The tortured emotions coming
I don't
from
know
all
why.
the
I
old
should have been in the
animatronics on
background of
display
this
throughout the
video.
Pizzaplex. And now that we've solved
I put it in
I'm
the
convinced
tote
that
to
we've
take
seen
it to
the last
college
of
with
it.
me.
Despite the fact that the Afton ending's only worth 2 stars, when the highest is 3, the DLC poster does seem to indicate that the story is going to follow this particular ending. Notice the melted parts of Chica's face, the ruined Pizzaplex, which directly follows the building collapse and Afton's ending. But look a little
I feel like-
closer. There are mysterious red eyes up in the top
What
left.
little kid wants to go in? Like Gregory was insane doing it when the lights were on, but now the Pizzaplex is destroyed and bad. So like, this is a death trap. You're going into the destroyed Pizzaplex. This must have been like, if it had burned down, how many years do you think had passed between the ending of Security Breach, true ending, and the DLC?
left, as well as some suspicious-looking cables down in the bottom
Sketchers
right.
light
Even if
up.
the Blob did finally kill Afton during the ending, the agony would still remain. It perseveres beyond death, and it isn't able to simply let go. In short, the Blob is still very much a threat, something that is more powerful than anything we've ever faced in the franchise. In fact, maybe my previous prediction about the Afton amalgamation could still come to pass. As I called out in a previous theory, in the books, Afton gets mixed up with a bunch of agony, which creates a giant monster trash rabbit. And
He goes
exactly what we're seeing
ultimate
with the ending of Security
form.
Breach. Afton mixed
Super
in with a bunch of agony
Saiyan.
parts. I suspect that Afton maybe
We
would take control of
need
this thing,
it.
overriding the Blob's directionless rage and focusing it in order to wreak havoc on Gregory and whoever this new character
gonna
might
be
just like he does
awesome.
during the Stitch Wraith stories from Fazbear Frights. The only issue is, I'm not sure how we'd be able to stop it. In Fazbear Frights, the solution is to see into people's memories and trap them inside those memories. It's a pretty random
How are you gonna
power, so it's
stop
hard to
it?
say how
Remember
that might
what
work in the
Afton
game.
said that one time? You can't. or what was it? It was or it was like, I will save them, and I don't think you can. I forget. It was something like that. Let's continue.
Games. Unless, of course, this new character is meant to be someone that could remind Afton or the Blob of good memories, bringing them back to reality and quelling the agony within. But
Turn
that, my friends, is a
Afton
theory
good.
for another day. So in the meantime, remember, it's all
I like
just
that
a
meme.
theory, a game theory.
Like that meme, not
Thanks
gonna
for
lie.
watching.
Nice. Waiting on that DLC, man. This. Oh, there's so much I want out of this now. It's getting crazy. I gotta make these videos and post them. I don't even know what thumbnails are past me. I gotta get all my programs from like this computer onto my onto my laptop. I don't know if I'm taking my. That's something I don't have to worry with. No, I have to think about that. Not you. Don't worry about thinking ahead for me. I'm good. I'm good. Okay. That's a lot to digest. Not gonna lie. Man, I want those books. What is the what is the entire like 12 book? I have the 3-book set of the original books like The Fourth Closet and Silver Eyes and Twisted Ones. I have those, but like how much does like I'm gonna look that up after this. How much does like the entire like 12 set cost for all those books? The entire 12 set. Hopefully it's not like $200 or not like 120. Hopefully it's not over 100 or under 100 or it's 100. But besides the point. With that being said, as always, I'm Anthropomorphic Nerd, and I will see you next time in a new room. And yeah, always gonna be the same. Posting whatever I can. That being said, bye guys. See ya.